Before we get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Javon Stevens, and I'm a student at Montgomery College majoring in general engineering. I have 4 years of experience tutoring and teaching students. I'm very passionate about STEM, history, and literature, and many different things in life. One fun fact about me is that I created a Python project that modeled a Japanese-style vending machine. So, let's go over the mastery objective and standards. Students will be able to connect and integrate elements of the arts with engineering and STEM through various activities such as class lectures, discussions, individual and group activities, and a final in-class examination or presentation. Students will also be able to properly define what art is in the context of STEM and engineering. This course will use the following baseline definition of art, which is a drawing or other visual representation of creative talent that is applied to STEM and STEM principles. Those students are also permitted to propose their own personal definitions in their self-justification at the end of activities. And the fine arts standard for this class is the applicable fine arts standards for this lesson is visual art drawings. For the core standard, the applicable core standard is in science and math as well as technology and engineering. So basically STEM. For the class expectations, you're expected to arrive to class on time every day. Avoid spending too much time in the bathroom or getting a drink of water. Do these before or after class if possible. Have all the necessary materials ready to go for each class. Please refrain from talking to other students during instruction or during independent in-class activities like examinations. During in-class discussions, avoid interrupting others or dominating the conversation without giving others a chance to contribute. You are expected to complete all graded activities on time. If you need more time for any reason, please contact me before the assignment is due. In this class, you're allowed to use AI or artificial intelligence for assignments, but you must prove you can still understand and explain your work. And at the end of each assignment, you must justify and explain why your work meets the mastery objective. Failure to do so or providing invalid or irrelevant responses results in no credit for your assignment. I suggest that you all approach this course slightly differently than you would normally. Think about how principles of art can apply to different disciplines like humanities, engineering, athletics, and more. In this class, we will just see how art connects with STEM. Students will mainly complete independent homework assignments to practice the skill, and these homework assignments will have practice questions explicitly aligned with what was taught during class. At the end of each class, students will reflect on and summarize their learning by completing a short reflection activity that asks what they learned from the lesson, main takeaways, and allowing them to judge themselves based on how well they think they met the mastery objective based on all work completed that day. You are allowed to use any notes from your notebox during any assignment, including the final activity, and note boxes, I will get into that in a minute. For the final activity, students can choose between a traditional pen and paper examination with the only allowed material is being the note box, which at the time of the examination or final activity should be full of notes gathered throughout every class, or a presentation, an oral presentation to the class. Both options will be a culmination of what was taught in the course. And for this course, if you have or need accommodations, please notify me as soon as possible so I can make arrangements for your specific needs. So, what is justification? Justification of your work is how you will verify that you met the master objective. A good justification should ideally include, but not limited to, specific connections to the mastery objective, keeping the justification on the topic of the activity and the mastery objective, being able to apply work to the concepts outside of the activity while still connecting to the mastery objective. And some examples of bad justifications that will not receive credit are just writing that you worked very hard. Now, it's good to work hard on something and to put in effort, but no amount of effort will make up for a justification that is not valid. Another bad justification is writing that you want to pass. I know you want to pass, but just writing that, telling me you want to pass doesn't mean that what you did justifies allowing that to happen. And justifications that are, like I mentioned, are completely unrelated to work, or claims not backed by the work sufficiently will not receive credit. I always make sure you can see the mastery objective when you justify any activity as it's provided in the box along with your justification, which you will write in. If you're having trouble with this, it likely means that you need to approach your justification or thinking at a different angle, or that your work did not meet the mastery objective sufficiently, and you need to reflect on that. Okay. So for class materials, I'm going to be using either Google Slides, Microsoft PowerPoint, or other presentation software. I'm going to be using my computer or other technology to teach the lesson to the class. I'm using a printer to print out assignments, a colored pen to distinguish student work in pencil, where the student work will be in pencil from the teacher feedback, which is in the pen. Note boxes for students, which students will keep in class, and they can take home with them if they don't lose them or anything. Note boxes for students to keep whatever they want related to the class. And students, for now, will need rulers for engineering drawings, pencils for drawings, and folders to separate work from other classes they might have. And everybody will have the handout expectations, including me, to reference throughout the course. Okay, so first what we're going to do together is we're going to create an engineering drawing. A basic engineering drawing. So I have my sketchpad here, and I want you all to follow along with me. So we're just going to draw a simple, let's just draw a simple house shape. So we're going to start drawing with our, you can draw with your pencil. I'm just going to draw using this virtual pencil here. So we're going to let's just draw, keep it very simple. We're going to draw a nice rectangle, a rectangular prism here. I'm going to draw a triangular prism on top of that. And I'm going to get my eraser. Alright. So I'm going to just I'm going to just fill in these lines again. And you should have something like this. So now we're going to begin creating what's called dimensions. So dimensions are just, we're going to, and it could be anything you want. This is the whole point of this activity. You can make the dimensions anything you want, but I'm going to try and keep it realistic. So 30. And you can write in the corner that dimensions are in feet. Once again, it can be whatever you want. I'm just going to choose feet for this activity. And you want to make sure you want to label every single side that is different. So this is one side, and this side I'm going to label 60 feet. Alright, should we label this side or this side? We should not, because it's redundant. If we model this length here, if we measure that already, then these two are the same, and writing it would just create a mess. All the things. And this is the isometric view. this is just one drawing. Later in the course, we're going to get into front views and side views as well as top views. But this is the main view we're going to be looking at for this class. The isometric view, which is a 3D, three-dimensional view. And you should ideally see it from this perspective. It's two-point perspective where if you're drawing something, it could diverge into two directions. But this is the main idea of isometric curve. You can see two different sides at once. Okay. So now that we've modeled something together, that was just a demonstration of the drawing. Now we're going to do a class activity, which I'll print out for you in a moment. And you will fill it out. You can try as much as you can independently. And if you're stuck, you can talk to me or work it out with a classmate. I do ask that you do not copy each other's drawings.